Hello and welcome. This is Jensen with Soft Edges, and this is your week ahead reading for the week of January 26th to February 1st, 2026. We got our cards pulled out. We even got our charms pulled out already, so this will be fun. I'm going to run through the astrology of this week just really quickly because it's, like I've been saying every week, it's pivotal astrology. First, on Monday, the 26th, we have Neptune moving into Aries at 0 degrees, and this is where it's going to eventually conjunct Saturn. So this is a hot spot. This is a hot spot. So we're paying attention to what's happening as the beginning of the week when Neptune is moving into Aries. Next, on Tuesday, we have Mars conjunct Pluto, and hang on for that ride. I mean, we're already feeling in the collective this how do I say this? I'm hearing this this inflamed anger, this like big loud disruption. Arguably like the loudest that we're experiencing it in our lives. I feel like that on Tuesday is going to be even the dog barking. That's going to be even further felt. On the 29th, on Thursday, Mercury is conjunct Venus. That's a little bit of a more lovely, clarifying transit. I'm eager to see what comes up around this time of week. And then on Sunday, the February 1st, we have the Leo full moon. Okay, so what I'm being called to do, sorry, I'm going to fix my little microphone. What I'm being called to do is to focus first on like the overarching themes that we have going on this week. And first we have this keening card. And if you don't know what keening is, it is like a Gaelic Celtic ritual around like mourning, and it's quite loud. I was had the privilege of being part of a keening ceremony in late 2025, and we just like mourned together. It was so beautiful, but I think that the thing is even though the result is beautiful, like during it, it's painful to feel through sorrow. And with the bone, I get the sense that it might be very clear this week that we are really in deep mourning, we might be in deep mourning of what's culminating in our lives at this time. I get a sense that even though on a macro, there is a lot going on and there's a lot of change, that is just an echo of the micro and all the changes that you're probably experiencing in your life at this time. The energy of this week, with this being the core focus, is that we're at the end of a cycle, and in order to really be able to move through into the next phase through like the birth, death, rebirth cycle, we're really needing to mourn what we're losing. And I think this will look more of a physical experience, and maybe that's what we're seeing in the collective, is this big collective mourning. The energy I'm reading into here is how do you bring that to a micro level? So how do you and maybe a few people or just you maybe create some sort of morning ritual this week? And if not, just notice that if you're feeling really sad or really angry and you might be shouting more, especially with that Mars Pluto, I really feel like that's going to be showing up. Let yourself hold on for just a moment in time, acknowledging before release and liberating what needs to be freed. Big release energy this week. We also have this flanked by the geode and the briar rose, and the beetle and the selenite. And the geode and briar rose talked about like self-sufficiency and like self-resourcing, because this geode has all the points, everything it needs within it. So it really talks about like inner healing and finding inner peace. And the briar rose is really prolific. I'm thinking about like where I live on the coast or like near the coast, where these like beach roses grow and also produce rose hips that have been used through antiquity for like beauty and health. So really talking about like self-resourcing yourself this week. Then we have the beetle and the selenite, and the beetle is another symbol of something that's been through antiquity and talks about its ability to like eat, dung beetles eat waste and then be able to reproduce it into something nourishing. With the selenite, a self-cleansing crystal, this really talks about, again, like with keeping on the same theme of self-resourcing, is really establishing or like naming strategies that you have in order for you to take care of yourself going forward, but especially this week with this big grieving energy. Overseeing the reading this week is, oh my God, are we are we sick of seeing this charm or what? I'm not, because this is like a good luck charm. And he is holding this crystal that I used to think was hematite, like absorbing bad energy. But right now I'm looking at it and it's a little bit more purple, which makes me think of just, again, the same energy here, like this inner knowing, being able to tend to yourself. Okay, beginning of the week, Monday, Tuesday, we have the 5 of coins. Again, withholding this in our hearts and minds of being able to self-resource while we mourn, because that's going to be the energy both in the macro and the micro. This is a somewhat challenging energy to start the week with. The 5 of coins can have us feeling like lack, like we don't have the resources we need to be able to take care of ourselves. There's an invitation here, especially, wow, in the Northeast where I live. I mean, most of the U.S., or not, excuse me, that is not true. A lot of the U.S. is getting this really big storm that's moving through the beginning of the week. And this is really making me think of any help that's being offered to you at this time. Take it from your neighbors, from your friends, whether that's like a generator or extra food or gas or just, additionally, this invitation to slow down, like let it be dark and let the storm roll through. Sit with those uncomfortable feelings that are showing up. And I think that they might be quite obvious, even though some days, like if you have a snowstorm in whatever line of work you're in, some days that feels like an extra day of the weekend, an extra break, it might not feel exactly like that. But yeah, how can you resource yourself enough to be safe and warm? Yeah, just noticing that lack energy at the beginning of the week. Let's see what we have next. We have Wednesday, Thursday. We have the 5 of Swords and the Ace of Cups. And the 5 of Swords is, whenever I see the 5 of Swords, it's just such an argumentative energy. I think are you picking fights with people in your life? Again, is that echoing what's happening in the collective? If you feel like you've won the fight, like at what cost? I'm hearing right now there's just like this inability for maybe you and someone in your life to see eye to eye at this time. And with the Ace of Cups, this almost feels a little bit like medicine for this 5 of Cups, because it allows you to either come to a point where you guys can at least emotionally connect like I see this boat, like these people are looking towards this water. Then we have this boat coming in or going out, like however you want to look at it. And the people working together in order to, again, either get that stuff in or get it going out. If there is a falling apart that happens in the beginning of the week, I think like it potentially transitions to a coming back together, at least in order to be productive. And I know this isn't like a productivity card. I don't know why. That's just the energy that I'm getting. This is so curious. This also makes me think of something happening. I mean, this is not anything new, obviously, but something happening in the collective too, because I'm just noticing like these flags. And like when I immediately first saw this, I thought of like the Boston Tea Party, and yeah, the way people are like dumping the tea in the water in like revolution. That's what this feels like. Just look at the image on the card. Yeah, this is an interesting Ace of Cups because it feels... Okay, here's what I'm getting from this is, yeah, maybe fighting, we know that, to potentially keep an eye out for that. I'm hearing right now, you're also mourning the same thing. So how can you actually understand that, even though it feels like you're on 2 different pages, that you're actually mourning the same thing? And sometimes the fighting is like a way for you to release any sadness that you're experiencing. And unfortunately, it manifests sometimes in like disagreement. And then the Ace of Cups feels more collective, like this union of minds, of people. I just heard charge, but like it's from a goldfish. So how much weight does that have? This will be interesting. Then in the weekend, we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have the 10 of Wands, which if you watched the Aquarius season video, this was one of the cards we drew for the energy that we're experiencing. And the 10 of Wands typically talks about exhaustion, having completed all these things. Now you're at the end and you're like saying yes to carrying so much stuff. And again, it goes back to like, are you self-resourcing yourself, or are you giving too much of your energy away? There's something too about like flocking, like moving on, and like the collecting of, I don't know why this is what's coming through. Let's roll with it. Like the collecting of your belongings, of what's the most important. So the most important in order to like take this journey. Feels like really broad. Let me think of how that would show up like day to day. Yeah, I think as we enter, we'll get through this week. This is the end of the week. We'll potentially have some time this weekend to like gather resources, gather our energy, gather what it is we've been working on towards with, and be like, all right, now what? What do I do with all this? What can I realistically take with me? Because we're about to embark on a journey, whether that's like a new phase of something. This is the end of the line. It's the 10. Interestingly, too, I did notice that we have every suit in here. So this week is somewhat balanced, to be honest. We have the coins, the sword, so our material worlds. We have the sword, so like our thinking, communication, how we interact with others. Cups, our emotional worlds, our feelings, our bodies. And then the wands, our passions, our desires, our ideas. And all of it is tied together this week. Beautiful reading this week. I'm holding you all in my heart. And just to wrap this up, I want to say that like during the light weaving to connect with the higher energies, I really was getting a sense that there's a lot of energy neutrinos like being siphoned into the earth at this time. And it is all for our best and highest good, even though there is so much sadness in both the collective and in our worlds. Yeah. Purging energy. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you on the other side.